All right, welcome back to In Response. I'm joined here by, well, Mr. Flake himself, and we have a great one for you today, and I'm going to let you go, let you take it from there.
I will always applaud anyone who wants to give a go at trying to emulate me and my style and whatnot, because, I sometimes will re-listen to myself and be like, God, do I say these things? Do I act like this? And then I just come to terms with it because I am who I am. So, yes, this is In Response, a offshoot of Instant Speed. I'm joined by Tommy Fresh, host of the Fresh and Buds podcast. If you have not, please, ladies and gentlemen, go follow, listen to the Fresh and Buds podcast. We will get you all the details at the end of the show here. If you'd like to have a fresh take, pun intended, with a great host and a myriad of wonderful personalities that come on and talk about the game that we all love, the Fresh and Bud podcast is another consumable that you need as part of your flesh and blood diet. But today, Mr. Tommy Fresh, we're talking about Uprising, and the goal, the mission of this particular In Response episode is that we want to get to the bottom of some of the theories regarding, is there or is there not a fourth hero, and what that fourth hero in Uprising can be. So let's just give you a little primer here, which is the fact that Uprising is coming out on the 24th of June. It is a fully draftable set, which is going to factor into a little bit of our theory crafting here. And also that 3 of the heroes, perhaps all of the heroes, have been announced, be it Icelander, an Ice Wizard. We have Phi, a Draconic Ninja, and I believe it's Dromai, I could be wrong, a Draconic Illusionist. So, Mr. Tommy Fresh, first and foremost, how are you, my friend? I know that was a long-winded intro, but man, do I miss you, and I love you, and I love having you on the show.
I am great, Flake. Thank you for having me on. I was away on a mountain all weekend, listening to some bluegrass, so I don't know if there's any new information that's come out about Uprising, so it'll be interesting to dive into this. I have my thoughts and my theories. I'll be excited to put on the tinfoil hat, as well as, I think there is a Discord.
There's no Discord.
They keep saying there's none, but
no, there is none. It has been confirmed as such. It does not exist. Why would you have
to say there's none?
Well, I mean, why would I have to deny something that does not exist if people keep assuming it exists? But when you say bluegrass, the first thing that pops into my mind is that episode of King of the Hill where Con Jr. Is like playing violin, and she stumbles upon like Hank's bluegrass band that he has with like Boomhauer and Dale and whatnot, and she's amazing on like the fiddle, and she starts being part of that bluegrass, which drives Con Sr. like nuts. But what's most fascinating about that episode is that the singer is Boomhauer, and you know how he speaks, like he's just all mush-mouthed about it and doesn't know what the hell he's saying. Like he just mumbles things. But when he's singing bluegrass, he's crystal clear, beautiful, like angelic voice. That's what I think about when I think about bluegrass.
You know what's funny about that? It's almost pretty accurate about all bluegrass bands, I feel like, because they'll play this amazing music and then sing beautifully, and then as soon as it's comes to thanking people in between songs, it's like, yep.
Where was your bravado? Where did it go? Yeah. So let's dive into it. Again, we've given you sort of a little bit of the details, the major plot points of what Uprising will be. But Tommy Fresh, what are your initial thoughts? And I did field a whole lot of great theories from the community. We'll dig into those a bit and maybe muse over some of the more fascinating ones. But just what are your thoughts? Is there a fourth hero? And if so, what do you believe it is? And if not, why do you think that it's just a 3-pack?
This is interesting. I've thought about it a lot because I love drafting, and I look at 2 Draconic and 1 Ice. I'm like, man, how is that going to be at the table, right? Is everybody going to be fighting for all the Ice, or is there going to be enough Draconic to go around? Is there going to be more Ice in these packs, like kind of leaning so that there could be an equal amount of Icelanders at the table? It makes me a little bit worried, but honestly, I think going into Tails, I was even surprised that there was only going to be 3 heroes. But now that was a little bit different because we had the heroes being able to use 2 different elements. So we don't have a lot of information on what these heroes are doing, but obviously we're theorizing that maybe there's more to meet, more than meets the eye, in a way.
So you're saying the fourth hero is a transformer?
Yeah, it's Optimus Prime. I mean,
exactly. We have Dracona Optimi, and now we have Optimi Prime. That would be really awesome.
that would be a great way to add some mech support for all the mechanologist players out there.
Okay, we may have just stumbled upon something really cool where you're talking about like these dragons. There's Dracona Optimi, which has been revealed as like an illusionist dragon ally. But if the fourth hero is a mechanologist, then you're saying that there's more than meets the eye. Then perhaps it is like a draconic mech style dragon zord that you need to like play Tommy's green flute to summon it out of the ocean. And now I'm guess we were having a discussion actually in the last episode of Instant Speed with Eric Longquist Doa, and he was saying about about how like there should be no cross pollination of like intellectual properties like Magic does, where there's like, you know, all right, we'll throw in like some Walking Dead stuff. So maybe we're not there yet with the Power Ranger Zords, but that is a fascinating approach to take.
Yeah, I know Magic did already do Godzilla, and that was the first thing I thought of there when we were talking about, well, we have the big dragons, so we got to have the mecha dragons, but you know what? Let's let Wizards do that one. That's fine.
So and I get the approach here where you're talking about the draftability of it, because a lot of people are leaning towards two different schools of thought. One is the fact that, well, there's got to be a fourth because it just makes sense to balance things out. You have two draconic pools of cards that you might have a ninja trying to draft from. You're going to have ninja cards in this. You're going to have illusionist cards in this, and then there's going to be these draconic talent pools of cards. But if there's a third and it's ice, it seems almost unfair because the players drafting ice will not be fighting necessarily as much. Like if you're in a pod of 8, you know, and you're doing the math, you're like, all right, well, if I'm going ice and somebody's like drafting like their ninja and drafting illusionist, then the draconic talent cards are going to be a lot more scarce, so it's probably safer for me to go ice because there might be a little bit more of an abundance. That's assuming that the pack drops are relatively uniform, but that is definitely one school. And if we're looking back at different draftable sets like Wraith and Arcane Rising, the number of cards in those sets, like hovering around 220 something or 230 something, I believe it was around there, which is fairly similar to what Uprising is going to be, but those had 4 heroes. Meanwhile, Aria, 3 heroes, had the same thing. It had more or less equal amounts of cards as this. So there's not really many clues to be had there, but I feel, look, what you mentioned about Arya with the 3 heroes is because there was 3 talents, and basically if each hero has 2 talents, there's nothing else to really go around, you know, Essence of Earth and Ice or Ice and Lightning or Earth and Lightning and blah 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 blah, and you go from there. This feels different to me. It feels like we're missing a variable as part of the equation, but I feel like there has to be a fourth to balance this out to a degree.
Yeah, I agree. Now, there is the argument that, hey, maybe we have this draft set where, you know, a majority of the table is going to be on these draconic heroes, and then, you know, there's going to be the one person on Icelander or something like that. It's like it's going to be so skewed towards draconic, and that, like, you know, in other card games, they're always the kind of like combo deck, like the deck that, you know, isn't really part of the meta of the draft like format, and Icelander could kind of be that, but it seems like a stretch. I think 4th hero would, you know, I think would calm a lot of people's minds, but, you know, I think we'll see.
I mean, I like the format with the Tales of Aria draft. I really did. I thought that Tales of Aria was an incredibly awesome draftable deck where immediately everyone was like, no, you got to draft Briar. It's just, there's no Arcane Barrier. You got to draft Briar. It's the best thing you could possibly do. Rosetta Thorn is busted. Just draft Briar. Then people lean towards, no, Oldham's the only way to do it because Oldham can fatigue. It could play well. It could block well. It could swing bigger. It's just better. And then people eventually, you know, were on Lexi, which people said was the weakest of all of them, and finally realizing, well, you know what? Being able to dominate attacks is pretty sweet. You know, it's just free damage many of the times, and the hindrances of being able to drop frostbites and whatnot. Like, it just seems to me like a 3-hero draft it fits. But this definitely feels different. I want it to be 4 heroes, and part of me wanting it to be 4 heroes is just like, okay, if there's 2 Draconic and 1 Ice, you'd think that if there's a 4th, it would have to be Ice, because then there's Ice for both. But does that then kind of, flood the pool with Ice cards and renders Ice just over the top? And, not to mention, I think it's part of it is also just the fact that I want to see a 4th hero. I really, really want to see a 4th hero. So is a 4th Ice hero to balance this as 2 Draconic, 2 Ice too much, too soon when it comes to Ice?
It is tough because Ice has kind of been oppressive, and kind of leaking into CC as well, and even Blitz, obviously. But so it would be, unfortunate to get more Ice. It seems a little unbalanced for things like your Earth and Lightning so soon, right? So I would like a 4th hero for sure, and one of the biggest reasons I want a 4th hero is because there are some classes that have not really gotten some support in a while, right? I mentioned Mech as like a joke, but we had Dash and Data Doll. That's
right.
it. They're not getting any extra juice. And then same with Brute. I mean, I'll beat Brute in the face till I'm red. I'd love some Levias stuff, but and even the Rhinar players. I remember, people were saying like, "Oh man, Brute's so underrepresented with how they print things," but I don't know.
Well, the initial thought process for me when this entire set was essentially announced was the fact that, okay, they have to give love to these forgotten heroes. And like Shadow has a bunch of cards, Brute has a bunch of cards. Even in Everfest, Brute got some love. Ninja got some love in Everfest also. But when it comes to just looking at the adult heroes that are available, Dash, Illusionist, and Ninja. So Mech, Illusionist, Ninja were 3 adult heroes that only had a solo character out there. And once Icelander was announced, okay, we have 2 Guardians, we have 2 Brutes, we have multiple Rune Blades, but we only have 1 of these. So I'm like, okay, it's got to be 1 of these. And I thought it would be a light and a shadow. I thought there'd be a Shadow Illusionist and a light Ninja, or a Shadow Ninja. I thought they're like, the best thing that in my mind was that they would bring back some of the talents to support, maybe not a Brute coming through, but what if they made like a Shadow Ninja, and the Shadow cards can then support Leviah to that degree. Mm-hmm. So it's 2 birds, 1 stone. But ultimately, I do like your approach here, because right now Mechanologist is the one that's left in the dust, right? So it could make sense. And somebody suggested, Ice Mechanologist. I think it was you who yeah, you sent me the DM, and I was like, okay. But the more I think about it, the more that doesn't seem like completely out of place if you were to throw it in here. Now, the reason why I personally don't believe that it's going to be a Mechanologist is because some of the other viewers and the community members in the Flesh and Blood world have done some sleuthing on their own, and I'm embarrassed to say that a lot of the sleuthing they did was on the interview that I had with James White that I don't say I completely forgot about, but it seems so long in the past. It was only January, but it feels like ages ago. But they picked up on a few pieces, one of which was, and I wish I can find the timestamp on that video, but one of the major pieces that they pulled out was they said that James White should be, he mentioned that, okay, yeah, he's going to Volcor. He mentioned that's been confirmed. Also mentioning that there's going to be a new class that we have not yet seen, and he mentioned it as a he. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, there's going to be a new class, and he's going to be a class that we haven't ever seen before. Now, the question is that going to be on this set or on a subsequent set? We don't know, because we know also that some of these supplemental sets like Everfest, like Crucible of War, do introduce new heroes to them that are playable, like Starvo came in Everfest, right, as in a hero and ruffled a lot of feathers. Maybe that's the same case. Maybe it's a 3-hero drop here, and the next hero he's talking about comes in the supplemental that supports Volcor. But who the hell knows? And this is what's so frustrating for me, because it's not even a matter of getting to figure out who the 4th hero is, as much as it is figuring out whether there even is one. We haven't even crossed that gate, to explore within that realm. And, but my leanings are, it's a 4th hero of a brand new class. And the only evidence I have to support this is some of the offhanded things that James may have dropped on the podcast ages ago.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that you mentioned the podcast where James came on and talked to you. I recall listening to that, and he mentioned, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe he mentioned that the first hero that he designed, or like kind of theorized, was going to be in this upcoming set. I don't know if that's. I'm pretty sure that stuck with me when he said that. I was like, oh, that's cool. I wonder what is the hero that James White first started thinking about, and do we think it's one of these three heroes right now, or is it this mythical fourth one that we're?
It's kind of. I don't think it's this. I don't think it's what we've seen, because Icelander's already been out there, so it's definitely not Icelander, and I don't think that he would introduce this new hero as like one of the first he's developed as a existing talent, or sorry, an existing class like ninja or illusionist. And I don't think draconic is what he's talking about, because I believe he's talking about the class. And if we look through the lore book, which he instructs us to do, he says, look through the lore book. The class, there's so many classes that have not been touched that are printed in the lore book. Things like assassin. We finally got a bard, but not we got necromancer as well, cleric. I sincerely believe it's one of those three. Now, the other element is that on the lore page, or like one of the reveal pages, or one of those exploratory articles that they wrote about Volcor, they mention that assassinations are like on the rise, or there's assassinations occurring. So this also is a little tidbit that leads me to believe that I think that his grand scheme of how he wanted to do things, one of the first heroes that he may have come across, or that he designed and perfected, or that he had that eureka moment for, was assassin. And I think that makes sense. And I don't know if it's like ice assassin or another element assassin, but it's completely possible. Maybe it's just elemental assassin, and that in turn can pull from the ice pool, which can, in that regard, also in the classic constructed phase, pull from all the other elements as well. Now, what the game text is and whatnot, I believe it's an assassin. That is what I believe, because that's where all the dots kind of connect for me. And it's not, it's not crystal clear, but it's a rough framework that I'm happy to sort of exist within.
Yeah, I think assassin would be very cool. I mean, we've seen text on cards that have mentioned daggers and the like. I mean, that's the perfect time to introduce a dagger. I think it was like Razor Reflex has the word dagger on it, and then a couple of other things. I'm interested to see. I mean, elemental. It seems a little like elemental, like just essence of ice. Are we thinking here, or do you think? It'd be interesting if it'd be essence of draconic and ice, but obviously draconic's not an element.
But that's the thing. Like the other thing that I think James mentioned was that the other elements. So he mentioned that the three elements, lightning, earth, ice, are apparent within Arya, etc. And he mentioned, when I asked him about new elements or new things coming through, he mentioned, well, we already have these three. These are the three core. Will there be more down the line? Perhaps. And this set is way too close to Arya's release for him to have sort of changed any designs to incorporate something new. Because the way that these sets are designed, I think you and I can agree, it's that like the next 2 or 3 sets are already in the books. They're designed, they're just being refined, I would imagine. And the design is, what they're at the table now designing, we won't see till 2024. Like that's kind of how that process works. So I don't think that there's going to be another element that like outside. I don't think draconic is going to necessarily be an element, but I do sincerely believe that there is a fourth hero. Now, any last thoughts before, because the community itself has come through with some very interesting theories of their own, some of which have kind of been backed up by certain levels of evidence too. There's some actual proof to what their theories are. So is there any last little bits here before we dig into the community?
Well, I just want to ask you something. Let's say we get this assassin, right? How do you feel about generic assassin mixed in with the ice and the draconic? and it's another way to get some more generic cards out into the card pool.
Generic assassins, so no class. No
No,
talent.
no, it is class, no talent, just untalented.
I'm okay with that.
Assassin.
I'm okay with that.
Neat.
I think that's fine. You're introducing a new class. I don't know if you have to necessarily marry a talent to it, but what if it was Shadow Assassin?
I mean, speaking my language.
I know, and part of me is just looking to support Leviah in any way that I can. You can't print Shadow Brute cards, but you can definitely print Shadow cards. Shadow Assassin does kind of fit the bill in terms of what an assassin does, existing in the shadows and, kind of being all skulky and dangerous in that regard. But I'm okay with that. It seems
like some kind of, especially lore-wise, seems like it would fit in. There's kind of this clash between Fae and Dromai, and all of a sudden this Shadow Assassin, is also kind of like the other end of the spectrum from Icelander in terms of the story. Icelander's kind of coming in to kind of do whatever she's doing. I don't know, but then you got the Shadow Assassin kind of being the real antagonist in there. But who knows? This is I could talk about that theory for forever. It's like the Dark Knight, right?
Yeah.
You think the Joker's the real villain, and then all of a sudden it's Two-Face at the end. Spoiler alert if anybody hasn't seen that one from 2008.
Dude, when it comes to spoilers, I'm very much within the there's got to be sort of a statute of limitations when it comes to stuff like that. Like, if there's a brand new series, I tell people, I'm like, all right, if it's a brand new series, I will not spoil any episodes until after that particular season is essentially over. But if an entire series is completed and you haven't watched it and it's been you
lose.
Dude, The Dark Knight came out in what year? Like 2010?
I think 2008. Yeah.
2008? Dude, it's been 14 years that this brilliant movie came out. If you have not watched it already, it's fine. You'll be all right if you hear this. And the same thing with if I drop a Sopranos spoiler if I'm having a conversation about a TV show and I'm like, yeah, it's like when so and so got killed, and people are like, yo, spoilers. I'm like, this spoiler is legitimately 20 years old, so get with it. And then I realized, I'm like, oh my god, The Sopranos is 20 some odd years old. Wow. All right. Okay, let's dig into the community, Mr. Tommy Fresh, and get some of the theories out of the big brains of the community. And one of those big brains is the Canadian national champion, Yuki Lee Bender. Of course, we all know Yuki Lee. And she says, I don't think 4 classes is possible. So there's I don't say it's a hot take, but there's that is called a thesis statement. And she then substantiates that claim with approximately 220 cards in the set. Dromai is at the start of the set. Draconic is 80-something. Icelander starts at 100. Monarch, Welcome to Wrath, and Arcane all have approximately 70 generics. Approximately 50 cards per hero, plus 70 generic feels like the composition of the set. Now, this is a very substantial take because of the maths and kind of the piecing together of the numbering. And what Yuki's saying here is that, all right, if there's 220 cards in the set, and this hero's numbering starts at this, and this hero's numbering starts at this, you can kind of piece together that if each sort of hero gets 50 specific cards to it, and then there's 70 generics, that pretty much flushes it out. And that's all she wrote. So, what do you think about Yuki's take here?
It's a lot of math, and it's not my strong suit. But I guess it checks out. But I mean, we could see no generics, right? I mean, something like Shadow, as we were saying, could make sense. It depends. Does that tweet kind of? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know, because I feel like the 70 generics is plenty. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very math oriented, and it's just not. how I roll.
It's not, I roll on hopes and dreams, baby.
Yeah.
Data means nothing to me, but it's a great take as well. The thing about this as well is that 220 cards, like I mentioned earlier, has been supported by 4 class heroes as well. So I don't think that it's completely out of left field to assume, or to hope rather, or to maybe go down that thought process that, hey, maybe there are 4 heroes. And I'm gonna right now just look up the set list or the numbering of the sets that had 4 heroes, like Welcome to Wraith, and what they're saying, and what Yuki's saying here is that based on the numbering of where the heroes fall and how many cards per class, you could probably assume. So if Yuki's saying that like Icelander starts at like 100, well, where does the 3rd hero start for Welcome to Wraith? You go Brute, you go Guardian, and the other one would be Katsu is the 3rd hero, starting at number 76. Now, what does that tell you? Well, if we scroll down and go to the 4th hero, Dorinthia, she starts at 113. So it's interesting how there's like about maybe 40 cards per hero, class specific. So where these heroes line up, and if the card distribution is the same as previous sets, then maybe that makes sense to a degree, but the numbers are kind of skewed, so I do put a lot of weight into her analysis here in terms of how this goes.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things I've never really looked in. Everybody always talks about, we only have a certain amount of Majestics left. And they tell that to me, and I'm like, I don't know what that means, but, I'm sure that the numbering is out there. I've never looked at the numbering.
But this is the kind of detective work that is so crucial to kind of piecing together some of this, and I give a lot of credit to the community who have dug through not only this level of analysis, but also through so much of the past content that exists in the discussions, especially from LSS people like James White on Instant Speed, when he mentioned some of this stuff, and people went back and kind of dug through it and connected those dots. And this is another piece that kind of, you could throw that chip onto the onto that part of the scale that says 3 heroes, not 4.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for folks like Yuki out there doing this stuff so that I don't have to.
Hell yeah.
And it checks out as far as I could tell, and but we also like to roll on those hopes and dreams, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So I'm still saying Shadow Assassin, right there with you.
I like it. I mean, yeah, hopes and dreams. That's what we ride here. I think I didn't necessarily meet Yuki, but I was at the Canadian Nationals where she was, and I saw her. I was amidst. But the thing about it was that Canadian Nationals was such a cluster F of a situation that even if I wanted to speak to somebody that was 10 feet away from me, I would have to get an Uber to go around the entire building to get there, because that was the easiest access point. That's how much of a... Anyway, other story. Yuki, if ever you want to be on the show, just send me a message. You're always welcome. Okay. Next, this one's from Collision Point, Mr. Tommy Fresh. Collision Point saying, hey, well, they haven't put the 3 known heroes in the heroes section of the website, so I think there's still a possibility for a 4th hero. They could add some young heroes to keep Blitz fresh and make Limited very interesting. So this kind of takes the approach of, well, there might be a 4th, but what if it's a young hero and it just has a smaller card pool than everyone else? It's still kind of like a 3-hero draft, but at the same rate, maybe that young hero is like a young ice hero, and then you can kind of double up on the ice stuff there. But then again, you're not, if it's only a young hero of a specific class, you can't necessarily fill those packs with cards that are meant for that. Well, then again, you could, because draft is young heroes anyways. So yeah, that definitely does make sense.
Yeah, that'd be interesting way to do it without. But I don't understand why give us this young hero and not the adult one, because we saw it with Icelander. I mean, people wanted it in CC and we got it in CC. It feels like it'd be such a strange thing to do, to just give us the young hero in this brand new huge release of a booster set, and we're like, I can't play this in CC at my local armory. It feels weird to me. I don't know.
Nah, it's a good take.
Yeah.
Let's see. I got one from DGTCG saying, I was very much in the secret fourth hero camp, but the numbers just don't add up. To get it to work, there would need to be another ice hero, but that would have to be from an existing class, plus ice is elemental, so the hero would have to be from Aria too. So yeah, part of this is also a little bit sprinkled of, in terms of the legality of the lore as well, and how it fits into the canonical truth to these heroes and where they originate from, because elemental is an Aria thing, right? So DCG coming in with the the numbers don't add up. The accounting is, the bottom line is not balanced, right?
Yeah, and how would they fit that in story wise? We've seen these articles come out to kind of really focus on Icelander, and then I guess Shiana. They keep mentioning Shiana. I mean, there's that possibility Shiana is a shapeshifter, can kind of do whatever. I know that's somewhat of a theory for some people.
Lost in Space, great name, by the way. Lost in Space, spelled very peculiarly. I love it. Saying, I think draft is better if symmetrical, so a fourth ice hero would make sense in this case. What I want, ice mech hero like Mr. Freeze. So that's definitely a Tommy Fresh style thing. What we deserve, an ice warrior like an adult Kasai helped by Icelander. What we'll get, an ice runeblade. So it's possible. It's definitely possible, an ice runeblade. I mean, given the fact that Briar is a earth lightning, the ice would kind of pull away from that to a degree, right?
That would be the frosty cherry on top for all the rune blades out there. I mean, yeah, it is the ongoing joke. It's like we're just gonna get another rune blade, aren't we? And,
yeah. that seems...
I hope not. I mean, I do like the Ice Warrior theory, because that's another class that we haven't gotten much since Monarch.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're going to get that classic battles at the end of the month here, but Warrior makes sense because Sai's from Volcor, so that's something we could see.
I feel like we need a lore expert. I know that Armada is an immensely in-depth lore aficionado, and I think that that's something I need to start brushing up on. I spent 5 years like knee deep in Gwent and know nothing about The Witcher, which is hilarious to me, because people are like, oh my god, it's this person. I'm like, okay, what are the stats on the card? I don't care about the fact that, ever since they took away Lord of the Rings and Star Wars card games, I care not about the about the lore of anything. But this is one that I'm actually quite fascinated in. There's clearly a lot of thought put into these.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell that these sets are designed top down. Someone I could shout out that I've had on the show myself is Dead Summer Art, who does great, lore videos only on YouTube, and very into the lore and a wealth of knowledge. So check Dead Summer Art out if anybody's willing to, dig through those trenches of lore that I guess we don't as much, but.
Nathan,
I know that Volcor is a big thing, so
it's a great place if you like hot weather and ashy lungs. Nathan Zamora, aka Admirable, saying we're def getting a Lucha Libre. Now, if there's anybody who has a creative mind that I want to celebrate, it's Nathan Zamora's creativity of. So I don't think it's going to be a Lucha Libre. So sorry, Nathan.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip on that one. I don't. You know what? I'm hoping one day.
But you can picture the cards, right? Like from the top rope and stuff like that, and some,
I mean, we do get like Macho Grande and stuff like that. It's like kind of still in that, it's that realm.
Luchas exists. I mean, they're out there. I mean, you could tell. You go to Everfest, you catch the 3-ring circus, and then you go and catch the evening, wrestling, the luchas and stuff like that. Maybe Rey Mysterio pops out of the crowd and 619 somebody. Who knows? Farcist says, need one more here for draft, or else the draft pool is going to be unbalanced. That's my opinion. And I think that's a common thought here, is that, if you're going to have 2 Draconics and 1 Ice, you kind of need something to balance it out. And I think that's kind of seems like a fair assessment.
Yeah, and we've covered it, but it will be interesting. Perhaps just a third Draconic which would be even crazier, I think, for the Ice Wizard. But maybe Ice Wizard's so powerful that everybody's chasing after Icelander at the draft pod, and then everybody else left to fend for themselves with the Draconic cards.
So Fabled Academy and Flesh and Blood Europe both are kind of on the Kasai adult train as well. And I know that that's something that you're mentioning, but again, this kind of takes away a little bit from the fact that if you believe in the hype that it's a new hero, a new class that James kind of teased way back when, then it can't be Kasai. But it is there's certainly people out there kind of ringing the bell for a little bit more warrior action.
Yeah, I think people are just jumping at. We saw Icelander make the leap from young to old, and now they're rooting for the other ones, Kasai, KO probably at some point. We'll see.
Red Zone Rogue is very adamant. Now, Red Zone Rogue, I'm sure it mentions that he has tweeted about this in depth already, but he is all for an ice assassin. So there's another who's part of the assassin, and he's basically tapping not only on how cool it would be to have like an ice assassin versus a fire ninja, draconic ninja, how cool would that showdown be, but ultimately the fact that assassinations in general were kind of teased within the lore. And if there's something that Flesh and Blood does well, is that you can kind of find clues to the drops in how they're, I don't want to say marketing it necessarily, but establishing the framework or the base, the foundation of the set. And in this case, it's just one of the first words of one of the first paragraphs. It's like assassinations, So I think that Ice Assassin could fit quite nicely in here.
Yeah, it does make sense. That would be such an interesting tactic for LSS here to really just throw this like brand new, like I feel like that would have been awesome to lead with, but I guess kind of dragons is more awesome to lead with, so I can see why they did that. But I'm interested to see if they surprise us here, because that would be pretty wild from a marketing standpoint. I'm like, whoa.
Let's see. There's a bunch who are saying Shiana. I know that Armada was very high on there being an adult Shiana. I don't know how you feel about that, because in reality, I don't even understand how that card works half the time.
Oh, yeah. That's a little weird to me, because because it would have to be a new printing, because, we have the young version is a legendary in Crucible, so we can't kind of jump it to any kind of token status, right? But I mean, she keeps coming up in the lore, but she kind of also seems to be showing up, helping Icelander, and then peacing out. So, but there's also, I mean, if you look at some of the articles that they released, she gives Icelander a mask to help her kind of blend in. And you look at some of the art, some other people are wearing that mask. So, maybe there's some kind of shapeshifter equipment, but I don't know. Seems like a stretch.
Yeah, it seems like, to quote George Costanza, it's like an onion. The more layers you peel, the more it stinks. There's so much to dig into here. Last one I want to dig into, actually a couple here. Melody Likes, who I believe was on your podcast this week, if I'm not mistaken.
She was. She joined me last week. We had a lot of fun. She's a great Kiwi from the homeland of LSS, and we had a great time. And she's very passionate, and she's got some ideas too. Oh
no, certainly. I also like to pretend that I took credit for the fact that she posted her first YouTube video. So there she goes. But mentioning about how there was a lot of speculation in terms of like digging into things like Dragon Shield codes and product and files and this and that. And you want to talk about like internet sleuthing? Apparently, like we've seen how a lot of the things get sort of leaked is oftentimes it's usually somebody making a mistake in like posting something on a store website or whatever, or like a descriptor or something along those lines that kind of messes things up. So I don't know how it's going to work, and if there's still some more out there of stores being like accidentally posting, like what if they accidentally post like all four blitz decks, or like they or something to that degree of like, oh, we're selling these blitz decks. There might be, because we've seen it before, like stores have messed up. They leaked Historic that way. A store put up pre-sale for Historic before it was even announced. So that could be part of it as well,
And it is interesting. We did get the information on the Fi and Dromai Blitz deck packs. It's weird that we're not getting an Icelander one. Why not have Icelander and whatever the other hero is in a different display case for the retailers?
Last but not least, we'll talk about Wolf the Bard saying, honestly, Draconic Brute. What else encapsulates rage and fire? And I think that this is a really great take because it just feels right, you know? Like, think about where you are, what the theme is. There's like an uprising. There's this oppressive sort of empress class, this kind of imperial domination of Volcor. I'm just spitballing. I don't know 100%. But it seems to me like if there was going to be someone or something to fight this, it would have to be off the back of a lot of rage and a lot of fiery determination.
Do you want to know my hot take here?
Oh yeah, of course. That's what you're here for, Tommy Fresh.
I'm here for the hottest take. When we first got Thaw, right? Thaw was the card they spoiled, 2 for 6, and then you can banish it from your graveyard, right? You can banish it from your graveyard to do some stuff, anti-ice stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What deck wants that the most? Leviah. Leviah wants to banish 6s, right? So we're going to get Shadow Draconic Brute Leviah in this 4th hero. I mean, I took the art of the flame kind of attacking the ice in Thaw, and it almost kind of looks like her tentacles. Now, this might be a real stretch, but I just think it would be really dope. So I don't know. I mean, I think lore-wise it makes sense because I think Icelander's coming to Volcor because she needs to get help to fight Solana or go back to Solana and fight the monastery or whatever. So maybe Leviah follows her and then she gets kind of chopped up and all that stuff. We're having fun here. So
I love it. I love it. I love it indeed. Well, I want to thank also the community for submitting all of these wonderful theories. You guys were awesome. And who knows? Because at the time that we're recording this, which is May 2nd, 2022, we don't know whether there will be a 4th hero or not, or what that hero may potentially be. So by the time this gets published, things may change, ladies and gentlemen. So on that note, Mr. Tommy Fresh, I do appreciate your time, and let us know where we can get more of the freshness.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at FreshBudsPod. You can find the podcast Fresh and Buds on all audio platforms, YouTube. I post other videos there too, some silly stuff, and we like to keep it pretty light and cash, and also some competitive stuff as well. And we got a really fun Discord that Flake's in as well. We chat about all kinds of stuff, mostly just food pictures, and we just kind of like say, why aren't you sending this to me right now? Yeah. But if this comes out before the Pro Tour and everybody's at the Pro Tour, I'm a New Jersey native, and I will be hanging out, playing in the calling, and maybe I'm doing some other stuff too. So you guys look out for me.
I will be rocking in any chance I can. I will be playing the game as well at Pro Tour New Jersey. I'll be casting the event, but I will be also amidst the masses celebrating the game, and I will be rocking my Fresh and Buds playmat. It is my new go-to playmat. Every time I'm somewhere and I'm playing, I usually, if I'm at a major event or something, I'll wear my Instant Speed podcast shirt, but I will wear my Fresh and Buds, or I'll use my Fresh and Buds thing, and they will ask me, not am I the guy from Instant Speed, but am I the guy from Fresh and Buds podcast, wherein I say yes. I just say yes.
Twice you were.
I'm like, you're absolutely right. I absolutely am that guy. So, my man, thank you so much for doing the show again. I love you very much, and I will be seeing you in short order.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure. I can't wait to come back on again and have you on again as well.
And you shall. All right, friends, be kind to one another. Don't forget you're not losing if you're learning. So we'll see you next time on Instant Speed. Adios. Goodbye.